Hello, this is a recap of a new K movie called Walked In. Please don't forget to subscribe. Let's begin. The movie begins with a young girl trapped in between walls. Not long after, cement begins pouring down on her from all angles. The little girl can't go anywhere else. She's buried alive. The scene moves to 15 years later. A young engineer, Sam, has just graduated from college. At her graduation party, her father, an owner of a demolition company, gives her a gift, a job supervising the demolition of a building in middle of nowhere. She is successful. She will become his partner. Her first assignment happens to be this gigantic, unique architecture structure, an apartment building located out in the middle of nowhere. The structure is the product of Joseph Maltese, who was a weird architect obsessed with Egyptian architecture. Samantha arrived at the master's building and is greeted by Mary, the caretaker. She lives with her son Jimmy, who is a loner kid. Sam tells Mary she will be staying in one of apartments in the building. Jimmy takes her bags to her apartment and explains the rules of the building. She is to stay off the 8th floor because small stairs and the roof because it is too dangerous. As she's walking to her room, she sees a room labeled of Julie's. She then enters her room and immediately takes a bath to clean herself up. Later that day, she meets Mary and asks her how many people still alive in this apartment. Mary replies that only 4 people live in it. Mary and Jimmy are in the building to look after it until it's the day of destruction. All the other 10 have been evicted, but 2 have refused to leave. The next day, Sam prepares to analyze the structure of the building. Sam is in charge of providing a report on how much TNT is needed to knock down this building. She must determine the best rupture points and type of explosive. A few hours later, she goes to a mini market to buy some food and drinks. Out of curiosity, she borrows a computer to peruse the history of the apartment building. She discovers that in 1993 there were a series of missing people. When they were finally found, it was horrific. 16 people, men, women, and children were sealed in small apartments in the building, which were then filled with liquid concrete. One of the victims was the architect himself, Malastraza. A construction worker was initially blamed for murders, but then found innocent, leaving the crimes unsolved and the murder unknown. Back at the building, Sam again marks the best rupture points to knock down the building, but she's surprised when a man runs towards her carrying an axe. It turns out this man is the one of the tenants who still live in the building and refuse to leave, and he is unhappy about the destruction of the building. At night, Jimmy secretly takes Sam to the 8th floor, the forbidden floor. Jimmy tells Sam about Malastraza, the architect of the building, who died inside the wall. He enters the room and shows her the wall where Malastraza's body was found. When his body was found, his face was almost ripped off because of the cement. His face was no longer recognizable. His mother, Mary, was the one who finally managed to identify him. Jimmy also informs her that out of the 16 victims, there was a small child named Julie. She was the child shown at the beginning of the film. She was also the children living in the room Sam saw before. Furthermore, Jimmy tells her that his father was also one of the victims. He then proceeds to show her the wall where his father was found. The light goes out and Sam cuts her leg after panicking in the darkness. Later, Jimmy washes her wound and begins to curse her tight. It becomes obvious that the young boy fancies her, and he tries to make a move on her, but she tells him to stop. In the evening, Sam, who is looking in the mirror, sees the glass behind her shaking violently. She lifts the mirror and sees blood floating out of the hole. Suddenly, Sam is immediately pulled into the wall, and she wakes up realizing that she is now trapped inside. A moment later, cement begins pouring down on her from all angles. She can't go anywhere else. As she starts screaming, she wakes up from her sleep. It turned out to be a nightmare. As she can no longer sleep, she wanders around her apartment. Suddenly, something appears right in front of her, shocking her. However, it's just her boyfriend, Peter, who wants to give her a surprise. Sam takes Peter to look around the apartment. They secretly go to the 8th floor. While exploring the 8th floor, Sam and her boyfriend discover a secret passageway on the floor. Sam goes down it, and she discovers a secret room. This room would allow someone to view any of apartments secretly. Sam realizes that Jamie has been spying on her while she is taking a bath. She talks to Mary about it, and Jamie, who feels embarrassed, walks away. Later that evening, Peter thinks that Sam should leave tomorrow, and she agrees with him. As Peter and Sam spend their time together that night, Jamie grows jealous of them. The following day, Sam packs her clothes to leave the apartment. She also prepares a report on how much TNT is needed to knock down this building. Before parting, Jamie apologizes to Sam for spying on her. He then gives a gift to Sam. He gives Sam a copy of the journal of Mala Straza, the building's architect. Sam realizes from reading the journal that there must be a large open space in the center of the building. Jamie goes to the roof to look for an opening to the hidden space. However, he does not return. Sam and her boyfriend follow to look for Jamie. They discover a massive shaft in the center of the building. They hear Remy calling from down in the shaft, saying that he is hurt. Sam has her boyfriend lower her into the shaft on a rope. At first, everything goes smoothly without any problems at all, but suddenly Peter is shot by someone with sharp iron. As a result, Peter dies bleeding in front of his girlfriend, who is shocked seeing this. Sam falls to the bottom. Sam awakens of the bottom of the shaft. Surprisingly, she is not alone there. There is a mysterious person. To her surprise, that mysterious man is Mala Straza, the architect, who she thought has been dead, entombed in the wall. It turns out that he has been trapped there this wild time. Mala Straza is holding a radio. In the radio recording, there is Jamie's voice asking for help. In other words, the voice that Sam heard earlier is pre-recorded by Jamie himself. Shortly, Jamie sends her a letter from above. In the letter is written that Jamie is keeping her down there until she learns to love him. Jamie then mails Sam's demolition report to her father and sinks her car into a lake. This is all done to create the reception that Sam hasn't returned home because she's goes on vacation with her boyfriend. Back in the shaft, Mala Straza tells her a shocking revelation. He reveals that he was the mastermind behind the murders of 16 people who are found embalmed in the wall. Mala Straza believes that the secret to the longevity of ancient Egyptians monuments is that they conduct rituals during constructions that involve burying living victims inside the walls. He wants his building to last forever, so he buried people alive inside its wall. He further reveals that one of the victims was Mary's husband. So, as an act of revenge, Mary decided to keep Mala Straza locked up in this shaft forever as a prisoner. Mary also fooled everybody by identifying other victims' body as Mala Straza's. Everyone believes that lie and thought that Mala Straza had died so that she can keep Mala Straza herself as her prisoner. After this shocking revelation, Jamie is back at the hall and sends down a cassette tape. Mala Straza plays the tape and Jamie says that he wants to see Sam and Mala Straza dance. Mala Straza tells her that they needed to obey Jamie's order. If they do what Jamie wants, Jamie is nice, but can be very cruel and imaginative if they disobey Jamie's order. So Sam agrees to dance, but when Jamie tells them to kiss, she refuses. Mala Straza pulls her close and forces her to kiss him. After a few seconds, Jamie tells them to stop and threatens Mala Straza to not touch Sam again. As a gift for their obedience, Jamie sends down a basket with food, water, and two-way radio. It tells Sam to keep the radio with her so that they can talk and be close. Later that night, Mary comes to the roof. Sam immediately screams to get help from Mary. Mary is very surprised to see Sam in the hall with Mala Straza. Mary angrily tells Jamie that the place was for the architect, not for anyone else. She realizes that Sam must stay in the hall with Mala Straza, or else she will report this accident to the police, and they will take Mary away, and Jamie will be an orphan. In the afternoon, Sam's father and his demolition team, who have received Sam's report, arrive at the apartment. They begin to set up the explosive. Elsewhere, Sam is still stuck in the hall with Mala Straza. Sam continues to seduce Jamie, hoping that he will free her and save her from the explosion. However, her effort is unsuccessful. Seeing this, Mala Straza tells her to save her energy. Mala Straza then digs a tube that he has designed with several pipes connected to the cement tank. Mala Straza believes that when the detonation team tries to knock this building down, it will not be destroyed if an additional person is buried alive. He decided to sacrifice himself to save this building. He then asks Sam to kill him. She eventually does kill him after some taunting, and he thanks her after he falls into his tomb and is began to fill with cement. Meanwhile, outside the building, Mary is keeping Jamie calm as they set up and begin to install the explosive. As the countdown begins, Jamie starts to change his mind. He screams Sam's name and runs towards the building. Sam's father tells him to stop the countdown. Sam is lifted out of the hole and put in ambulance. Mary is arrested as she is involved involved in the kidnapping of Malastraza. At the end of the film, Sam narrates the Malastraza built 27 buildings and that they are all still standing. He considered the apartment building as his masterpiece. He didn't want it to be demolished. He even sacrificed himself to save the building. So as a sign of respect, this building will not be demolished and will remain his legacy.